Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Delayed Offside. Baron couldn't make it today. He's a little bit under the weather. It has nothing to do with the fact that the Flames beat the Oilers 9-5. He assures me he's a professional. He said he would have came on. Adam made the journey on. He's here today, but Baron just couldn't make it. And so I hope you'll trust me to take you on this journey. And we're going to have a wonderful episode. But I guess I should introduce myself for those who are watching for the first time. I'm Sanjay.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ryan.
All right. So before we start, I thought because the Oscars were last weekend or this weekend, they were the other day. Hockey movies, love them, right? So I have a couple movies here. I'm going to show them and you guys be like Roger and Ebert. If you like the movie, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the movie, thumbs down. Okay, you ready?
I don't know if I've watched a lot of your B movies there, Sanjay.
Yeah. Oh, these are all quality hockey movies. Okay, let me tell you.
Oh my God.
This one here, everyone saw it on the bus in hockey. Slapshot. All right. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Right? It's a classic. Yeah. I mean, if you got to start here. I mean, maybe not start here because it's the best one, because then they kind of all go downhill, but you got to watch this at some point if you're a hockey fan. All right, now I got a couple of Mighty Ducks ones here. The first one, Mighty Ducks. Oh yeah, thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Love the Mighty Ducks. Favorite hockey movie.
This one might be controversial because in my opinion, this is the best one out of the
Number
series.
two?
Number two.
Yeah, that's my favorite as well. Bash Brothers, boys. Bash Brothers.
This was the first one that I watched. I watched it on VHS all the time. I think this one's the best one.
Well, and how many people tried the knuckle puck after that movie? I know I did all the time.
It never worked.
No,
it
never
worked.
No.
They lied to me. And this one here, may not be the best one, but it does have Paul Kariya in it. So
I still like it.
I'm giving it a thumbs sideways.
I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Okay.
I enjoy all the Mighty Ducks.
All right. Now this one here, this one is filmed in Calgary. And it's a little lesser known one. I think it's kind of like a lost classic, but Mystery Alaska.
I like that one.
Yeah, I love
Russell Crowe's in it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Baron would be like, actually, Mystery Alaska sucked. He hates Mystery Alaska.
Really?
Oh, hates it. I don't know what the hell his problem is, but he's like, nothing beats Slapshot. So I feel like Baron needs to be ribbed a bit here.
Yeah, I feel like he deserves it. All right, this one here I think is like Adam's favorite. I always hear him talk about Goon.
I love Goon. Goon's fantastic.
I'm trying to think if I've even watched it the whole way through. I don't know if I have.
Well, that's an indictment of what you feel about it. If you're like, I couldn't even get through this thing.
It was just one of those movies where I saw it on TV and, you start watching like halfway through, right? So
yeah,
it seemed okay.
Yeah, you got to watch it from the beginning. It's good. It was great, actually.
This one's a sequel. I haven't opened it, as you can see.
I have not seen the sequel.
It's good as well.
I haven't seen it. So, okay. Adam gives it the endorsement up.
How long have you owned that movie, Sanjay?
By me?
How long have you owned Goon?
Oh, how long have I owned it? When did that movie
it?
come out? Probably like 5 years I've owned it.
Do you just buy like random movies but never actually watch them?
Don't tell my wife that. She doesn't know. According to her, I watch them all. This one here, Face Off.
I have not seen that one. Isn't Face Off with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage?
No, this one is a hockey one. It has Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe, and Bobby Hull in it. Never seen it.
Oh wow!
No. Wow, really?
Yeah, it's a love story. He was a rookie. She was a rocker. $3 at the old Dollarama there, so it's quality on Blu-ray. But this one is like. Maybe I've owned this one for like 10 years and I've never seen it. Yeah, 11 years and I've never seen it.
I'd actually be interested in seeing that one with those names in it for sure.
I think they
just cameos.
Yeah, they're just cameos. Like they do like footage and then they're like in the footage.
Mm.
And then the last one, which I think is
the last one already. All right,
I've got one to throw in after this.
Youngblood.
Oh, haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, this one is so good. Okay, it's got Rob Lowe. Okay, it's got Patrick Swayze.
Is this the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Keanu Reeves in it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're right.
Is that Point Break? Is this like the prequel to Point Break? Is that what this is?
No, this is
the sequel to Point Break.
American.
Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze together again on the ice. Point Break on the ice.
No, this one, Rob Lowe's an American, comes up to Canada He plays in the juniors, and Patrick Swayze's kind of like the veteran on the team.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Adam brought up Sudden Death with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's an excellent one as well. I have it. It's back there.
There's Miracle.
All right, Adam, what's your other one?
Another one is Indian Horse.
Oh, yes, of course.
Fantastic.
And then there's Miracle, right?
Miracle.
For hockey movies, yeah. Miracle.
Yeah, Miracle.
I actually quite enjoy that one. And then there's those like only in Canada movies, like the Maurice Rocket-Richard movie. Yes. There was one about Don Cherry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Gordie Howe story one, too.
I haven't seen the Gordie Howe one.
I haven't either.
Man, you guys are bringing up some good ones. They're all back there behind me. You can see kind of the movies behind me. I forgot. I have The Rocket. I have Sudden Death. I got to pick up.
Indian what about The Love Guru?
I do have that one as well. I mean, that's
that one would be a thumbs down.
Oh, the Leafs won the Stanley Cup.
I know.
That's the most unbelievable thing about that movie. Is that the Leafs win the Stanley Cup?
It was just such a bad movie. I wanted to love it so much.
You don't watch it every playoffs? Maybe you should. Maybe like that's the. Okay, would you watch Love Guru every day if that for the next year, if that meant the Leafs make it to the second round of the playoffs?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You would, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure. Yes.
Jeez. All right. Well, with that introduction, let's get started. All right. So we touched on this before, the real reason why Barron isn't here. And it was the last and final Battle of Alberta of this year in the regular season because they could meet in the playoffs. It's not out of the question. And what a game that was. It was back and forth, goals galore, very 80s night. The only thing they were missing, a couple fights. Lucic needed a tilt or two and some big hits, but I mean, 9-5, you don't see that score every day. Adam, as an Oilers fan, you give me the Oilers perspective on that game, and then I'll give you kind of like my Flames perspective on that game.
So what I see from there is like a massive disappointment in one game. Like that's how you have to look at it as an Oilers fan. It's one game. A game like that happens and like the sky is falling. You have to that's one absolute defensively garbage game that the Oilers have played. A lot of those goals, not on Koskinen, not on Smith. There were guys left wide open in front that those goalies had absolute zero chance of stopping. Those first three goals, no chance. That Deke, breakaway Deke, there was the center in front to Backlund that he just sniped. And then I think the second one was along the same lines. There was just someone, it was a rebound, Tanev rebound.
Oh, yeah, off
rebound.
Nurse's
No one
foot.
picked him up, and he just picked that rebound up. Like Edmonton's defense looked like crap. Awful.
Yeah.
You score 5 goals in a game, you should be winning that game.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
Are you still happy? Well, you said it wasn't on the goaltending, so I guess it doesn't matter if they didn't.
I'm going to tell you why I'm happy. The weigh-in got 1,200 views.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So what you're saying, Adam, is the Oilers need to lose big all the time.
Oh, no.
That's exactly what you're saying. Yeah. For us to get good numbers, the Oilers need shitty performances from now on.
If they have crappy performances, we get what? 4 playoff weigh-ins? Not good.
Yeah.
Right? But
you can start doing weigh-ins for our teams if you want.
Yeah, you could do Flames weigh-ins. I mean,
you still have to wear that Flames jersey. You still haven't owed up to that bet.
Yeah, I do. I'm I've got that.
You can borrow this one. The All-Star one. I'll put Tkachuk on the back, your favorite player.
It's in the works, don't worry. But that was just a horribly played defensive system that the Oilers just kind of let slide. They wanted to play run and gun, and they were awful at it. And they're not a team that can just let a team that knows how to play hockey into their defensive zone and just be like, oh, I hope he makes a save, because that's unfair. And obviously they bounced back against Arizona, which is a team they need to bounce back against, but they need everyone back on defense. They need that centerman to come down deep and help out, which is what they were doing before. Don't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, like Draisaitl got a hat trick, but he finished the night -4.
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah, I think at one point I checked and CC was -5 and Darnell Nurse was -4. And you know what? They've been like CC's been their most solid defenseman this year.
He's been pleasantly surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, like from a Flames perspective, you watch the first 2 periods, back and forth. And the one thing that sticks out to me was Edmonton's specialty teams. Like they were the reason why that was a game heading into the third. Like they got how many 3 power play goals. They didn't allow a single power play goal against. Like their special teams were on fire for the Oilers on that game. And in the third period, I think the whole game changed. Like it was still very much up for grabs when Markstrom made that save on Kane in the third. It was I thought for sure I'm watching that game. I'm like, okay, 6-6. Because McDavid feathers a pass to Puljujarvi, who feeds Kane wide open, and Markstrom makes an amazing save. And that's kind of like the goaltending Markstrom has been providing. Like most nights he's been solid, but on the some nights when he has an off night, he's still able to make that save. And I hate to make this comparison because he's an Oiler, even though he played a little bit for the Flames, but it was very Grant Fuhr-esque, right? Like people would say in the 80s, the Oilers would win 7-5, but like, it would be 5-5 or 6-5. And you knew that Fear wouldn't allow that 6th goal kind of thing. Like when it mattered most, he would be dialed in. I think that's what Markstrom showed on that game. Like, he played the night before. He wasn't as sharp early, even though some of those goals, like no one's going to stop, but he still wasn't as sharp as he usually is. But when the game was on the line in the third period, he made that save. And that's what you need from a goaltender when you're paying him almost $7 million a year. And he did it. And 20 seconds later, I think it was, I want to say Tkachuk scored, or I can't remember who scored, but someone in Calgary scored to make it 7-5. And then after that, you could see the Oilers were just like, it's not meant to be. And I think like they maybe got 3 more shots that game. Like Calgary really, once it was 7-5, Calgary really locked it down. And that was impressive to see. Like they can play the tough games where it's 2-1 or 1-0. And then they showed that you play a team with McDavid and Draisaitl, and you can play that fire wagon hockey and win 9-5. So as a Flames fan, I was so, I was tickled pink for that result, beating Edmonton 9-5. It's always good.
Division final.
Yeah.
Division final.
I mean, it's not out of the realm. LA is kind of, they just lost last night.
They're going to lose tomorrow.
Oh, they play. That's a big game tomorrow.
That's a big game for you guys.
It's going to be a good one. That'll be a good game tomorrow.
Yeah, and Vegas is still kicking around. I kind of rid them off a little bit early, but they've won 2 in a row now, and they're right back in it. And Vancouver's in it. Winnipeg's in it. It's going to be exciting to see how the West finishes. Yeah. The East is already written. You already got done, your 18. Yeah, it's been done forever.
Yeah, there's such a big gap between 8 and 9.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane. It's insane.
Before you move on, Sanjay, I'm surprised you didn't touch on Gaudreau's performance at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to talk about like re-signing Gaudreau and Tkachuk.
And then, but didn't he get like 8 points that game?
5 assists.
Oh, is that? I thought he had 8 points. No?
He had 8 points over the weekend. So he had 3 on Friday.
Okay. Yeah, I thought he got 8 points in that game alone. I was like, holy crap. He was close to the record.
Yeah, no, I think
10,
if he
right?
got,
still by Sittler.
Yeah. If he got 8, I think they would have tried to feed him like more points.
Okay. Okay. I must have read it wrong.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
5 still good, I guess.
Yes, it's okay.
Guys, third in scoring, Johnny Gaudreau behind
hell of a year
behind Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Ooh. So during that game, Johnny Gaudreau put on a little bit of a show. He got 5 assists, and his partner in crime, Matthew Tkachuk, got, I think, 3 points and a little bit of beaking to Mike Smith. I don't know if you saw that on the first or second goal. After he scored, he immediately turned to Smith and mouthed something to him. It was pretty epic, and Smith did not like that, as you saw later on. But the one thing that worries me, I said I was so excited as a Flames fan for that game, but the one thing that worries me is going into the offseason, how is Calgary going to keep everyone? Gaudreau's on pace to finish with over 100 points. He's going to be one of the top 3 vote getters for the Hart Trophy. Matthew Tkachuk's on pace for 100 points. He's probably going to be maybe a Selke nominee, maybe Lady Bing. He's very gentlemanly. And and Mangiapane's got we lost Adam.
Oh my God, that was funny. That was so funny. Maybe Lady Bing.
Maybe. You never know. I think he's very nice. He talks to the refs. He's very friendly in post-game interviews. I think he deserves some Lady Bing Award nomination. And Mangiapane's got 30 goals. Now, Pilon, as a fan of the Leafs, you know what it's like to pay multiple players 10 million and above. Give me your perspective. Should the Flames break the bank and offer both these guys $10+ million multi-year deals, or should they let one of them walk and maybe trade one and get a ton of assets and draft capital back and then re-sign the other? And if you think that, which one should they let sign and which one should they let walk?
Well, if your team really wants to, they can and they will.
Oh,
so
do this.
No, of course they can. They could. The thing that you have learned from the Leafs is you can pay multiple players that much money and still build a solid team around them. The Leafs are a contender this year, and so they were able to do it. It's very tricky, right? You need to be able to fill in the other roster spots with either rookies or players who maybe haven't hit their stride yet, but you think that, they have that in them and you can find a diamond in the rough, or you bring in some old veterans who want a chance at a cup and are willing to come in for small amounts of money. So it's definitely not easy, and you can strike out on those things. So is it wise? I don't know. I know after last year, I was really questioning, is this actually something that a team can do, have multiple players over 10 million and actually win a cup? And I still question it, even though the Leafs are really good this year and on pace for their best season and a contender in a very tough division. It is still one of those things where you wonder, can you really do it? There still isn't a cup winner with a $10 million player on that team. That still hasn't happened. Right. So it is something that the GM is going to have to ponder and decide, do you lean more into the thinking that these superstars are going to be worth that type of money and that investment, and your fringe players really, they're replaceable, and you can, it's worth paying that much money to keep those types of players because they're game changers, and then you just fill in around the edges? Or are you the thinking of other teams where, you want a more balanced, deep roster, and you're not willing to give out those types of contracts? So it just depends on your philosophy on it. As up to this point, it's usually that more balanced team that seems to win the cup most years. So, I'm not sure if you do want to pay more than 10 mil, but, like I said, there's teams out there that, like the Leafs, that are still really good with that kind of philosophy. So I guess it just really depends on what your philosophy is. But my answer would be, if you want to, you can absolutely make it happen.
Okay. Yeah, it really comes down to Tree Living if he wants to make that happen, with the salary cap. And if they want to stay, that's another thing. Because they are American players, for some reason, we always question, do they want to come back and play in America? Although no one ever says hey, Cale Makar wants to play in Calgary. I would love to see him come play in Calgary, but no one ever says, well, he wants to come back play at home. So, Adam, if you're Brad Treliving, general manager of the Calgary Flames, and you're only able to keep one, Gaudreau and Tkachuk, and then trade the other, who would you keep and who would you trade?
Oh, that's a tough question. And the answer is most likely Tkachuk, because you can get him for a longer term and a better, greater sweet spot in his career. I think you gotta let Johnny walk at that point and maybe try to get assets for him, or you do a sign and trade, because I think it's too hard to let a guy like him walk.
Yeah, no, I agree. It would be tough to see him walk, especially if they go on a little bit of a run here. What does that signal to the fans, to the rest of the team in that locker room? If you let him walk, you're gonna have to try fill him in with the replacement, or or maybe like get some draft for him, top 5 draft pick or something. But yeah, it's a tough decision for the GM, but luckily he doesn't have to make it to the summer, and luckily he doesn't have to make it in the playoffs, because we've seen this before with Tampa Bay. You have an injured player, they come back. Oh, look, your salary is like 100 million, even though the cap is like 80 million, right? And Vegas is trying to do that this year, although it's kind of backfiring on them a little bit. So the GMs have discussing a rule about having a salary cap in the playoffs as well. So this is something that was talked about at the meetings. Gord Miller brought it up, and honestly, I don't know if I really agree with it. I mean, if you could have a legitimate injury and then come back during like the second round or something, then it could really handcuff a team, and then you're working with like salary constraints in the playoffs. And in the playoffs, I just want to see the best hockey. Pilon, what's your take on this? Should there be a salary cap in the playoffs, or do you think there should be?
I think so. I think if you're going to have a salary cap in the regular season, I think that salary cap should exist in the playoffs. I think there should be some roster maneuverability, a little easier than there is in the regular season, with some of the rules around being able to send someone down and what you're able to do and not do. And it can really hamper a team's ability to be able to get under that cap. So I would like, to ease those rules come playoffs. But at the same time, the whole point of a salary cap is to keep things fair. And I mean, we saw last year with Tampa, we would have seen this year with Vegas, maybe potentially still could, what they would do with their roster. We saw Chicago do it in years past. It's just not fair anymore. Like, the other teams weren't able to ice a team with that kind of salary, and you're at a disadvantage. And so the whole point is not to have a disadvantage. So my thinking would be, you have the salary cap. Once you get to the playoffs, like if you have players on LTIR, whatever, and you need to bring them in, and that would put you over, and that's the whole rule thing where you're okay. It's very simple. The players that are on the ice, that's going to be like counting towards your salary cap. You can have whoever you want, like up in the press box. That's not going to count. Who cares? And so that way you can at least ice who you want to, and you're not really hampered or handcuffed as to the kind of moves you can to get the players you want on the ice. But at the same time, the players who are on the ice have to still fit under that salary cap, just so that teams can't do this type of thing. Not that they were intentionally, having their players get injured. I mean, that's just something that kind of happened for them. But at the same time, could Kucherov have come back earlier in the season? I think he could have. Like, I think we saw how easily he was back to superstar status immediately. He probably could have come back earlier, but of course they stretched it so that he would come back in the playoffs, and that way they could, just toss him on the ice, and there's your, an extra superstar on your roster. And Vegas was going to do the same thing this year. And that's just, it's not fair. It's not fair. It puts other teams at disadvantages.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of interesting, might be interesting to do like something with like maybe an extended cap. So if we're at like 82.5 million, maybe come playoffs, it goes up to like 84, 85.
Yeah.
Right. Like in terms of like, that's your cap for the playoffs. You cannot go over that.
But then if you're going to do that, it needs to be something where, okay, it goes up at, let's say, the trade deadline or something like that. So all teams are now working with more cap. And then you maybe make the trade deadline more interesting, because all of a sudden, if you're a playoff bound team, all of a sudden now you have some more money to play around with, and you can go after some bigger names.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: should there even be a trade deadline? You brought up the trade deadline. Imagine there's no trade deadline. Your team is down 3-2 in a series, and you're like, we've really got to win this series. So you trade your first round pick to a team that's out of the playoffs, and you get one of their best players. Like, that'd be kind of interesting. Do you think that could work, or you think that's a crazy idea?
That's pretty outside the box. I'm not sure if I'm down for that one. I heard a different scenario though. Before Adam answers the question on what you brought up, I kind of like this idea. You can do a trade for a rental. So let's say the Leafs wanted to go after Connor Hellebuck. Mm-hmm. So we could make a trade for Connor Hellebuck, but just for the rest of that season. And then he would go back to Winnipeg the following season to complete his contract.
So
You could do rental contract or rental trades. I kind of like that idea because then like there's so many more players on the board that you can go after, and like really anyone be up for grab because the team's not losing their asset. They're going to get picks and prospects, probably not as much, but they're going to get some picks and prospects to loan their player to another team. And they're still going to get that player back the next year and still have those assets from the trade. And then, if you're a team who needed a starting goaltender, well, shit, now all of a sudden there's a whole lot more big names available that you can possibly get. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, and jersey sales would go up. Yeah, I hate that idea.
You wouldn't like
it's interesting. Oilers? It's definitely interesting. It's kind of cool, but like at the same time, it'd be like I'd be so pissed off at a lot of teams. I'd be like, okay, it'd
be like a lot of like all-star teams, like just loading up at the playoffs.
Yeah, and that kind of defeats.
I mean, you would still have to fit under a cap, right?
That's it. Yeah, but I don't think you'd see those players that are real game changers come playoffs shine through like they normally do. Like, where's your Max Talbot, your Fernando Pisani? Where do they fit in, right? Whereas like you're getting something else, like your real like role players that are really huge pieces come playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an interesting concept. I mean,
what do you think of Sanjay's idea, Adam?
And that was the
no trade deadline.
No trade deadline.
You know what? I like. No, I don't like work the phones. We're down 2-0 in this series.
Right? That'd be interesting. But then you'd have to also worry about the team, like the player would stay in shape, right? Like if you're eliminated from the playoffs, you're like, I'm gonna go partying with the boys, we're out. And then they're like, oh, you got called up, you're playing with the Leafs, and you're like, I've been drinking and partying for the last 2 weeks. Like you don't want any of this.
Or they break a bone with the other team too, in like Pilon's scenario.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, right? Tavares is out. Now we need a second line center. Call someone up.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like trade. I like how there's a trade deadline. It brings a little extra drama at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then it's a real roll of the dice too, because you don't know how that player is going to impact your team or how, if there's going to be any chemistry, what they can bring. So far I'm happy with ours. Broussard's been good. So has Kulak.
Yeah, no, I mean, they both looked pretty good on Saturday night. Broussard got a goal. He scored 30 seconds in, so that's a big one. This one here in the notes. So Pilon said that, there's been some truly remarkable performances this season. I touched on Johnny Gaudreau, going to be the first Flame in almost 30 years to get 100 points. Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. Pilon, let's see some of these. You're talking about some of these truly remarkable performances. Let's see them and let's talk about them.
Yeah, I was just kind of doing a bit of a reading, and I was just starting to realize like we're actually being treated to like not just like good or great performances this season, but actually really rare. And I don't know if people have kind of realized like how many of these there are this season. It's kind of bizarre. So I just kind of wanted to point them out. So first I'll start with Austin Matthews. You kind of point him out there, Sanjay.
Oh, let's start with Austin Matthews. Randomly, any player in the world, I'm just going to start.
I knew you guys would do that.
Austin Matthews.
If he played 7 more games, he'd have 75 goals right now.
If he didn't get that 2-game suspension, he'd be leading the league in goals right now.
You guys can make your jokes. But the fact of the matter is, so he is on pace right now for 62 goals, 107 points. And you talk about 60 goals, and I didn't realize actually like how rare it actually is for a player to get 60 goals. And it's even more rare for a player to get 60 goals and over 100 points. So the entire history of the NHL, I looked this up, there's only been 20 players ever to reach 60 goals. Wow. And there's only been 17 to have that 60 and 100 points in the entire history of the NHL. And the last time we ever saw it was 14 years ago with Ovechkin. So it's been a long time since we've had someone actually achieve this. And what does make his run more impressive, and you guys kind of made fun of this, but he's on pace for this despite missing 5 games due to wrist injury and suspension. And then basically his whole October was a write-off because of his wrist. He was trying to rehab it. He didn't have the same power and shot. He only had 1 goal in October.
Wow.
At the end of October, he had 1 goal. So, I mean, if he didn't have his wrist injury, he didn't get suspended at this pace that he's on, he'd actually be on pace for 71 goals right now. Like, the guy's insane.
That's crazy. I'm going to guess, I haven't looked up the stats, but I'm thinking the last time someone got 70 goals was Solani and McGinley. It's like Solani's rookie year when they both got 74.
I couldn't tell you that. I'm
going to guess that's the last time because 70 goals is rare.
It's very rare, very rare. I'm not saying he would have got that, but if he had this pace that he was on from November till now in October, 71 goals is what he'd be at right now or going for. Wow. Now, Adam, I'm not going to leave your guy out. I'll point out Leon Draisaitl as well. Okay. He's on pace for 58 goals and 117 points. So he could potentially get
how many points?
117.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. I was like, how does he? I thought you said 107 like Matthews. So I was like, how does he have the same amount?
No, 117 points, 58 goals. So he could potentially get to that 60 goal mark as well and over 100 points. And if both of them get that would be the first time we've had 2 players reach those totals since 96 with Lemieux and Yager.
I would bet that they both do it.
Wow.
That'd be awesome.
I bet they both do it this year.
Wow.
So
60.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So since 96. So
those 2 are going to do it. Like, and Leon's on fire right now.
He's starting he got cold for a bit and now he's really picked it up. So he could potentially get there too. And to have 2 guys score 60 goals in the same season, over 100 points, like I said, haven't seen it since 96. So it's pretty special.
Barring injury, it'll happen.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
You just
or more cold streaks or whatever, right?
Yeah.
These are just all players who are on pace for these totals. So next I'm going to talk about Igor Shesterkin. He's gotten a little cold lately, but he still has a .936 save percentage. If he finished with that save percentage at the end of the year, that would place him 8th all time in save percentage for a season. 8th all time.
Who are the first 7? Are they like Hasek and Wall?
Jacques Plante. Jacques Plante is number 1.
Yeah.
Craig Anderson is number 2.
What?
Brian Elliott.
Insane.
Brian Elliott, number 3.
Anderson's insane.
Then Jacques Plante again. Then Tim Thomas. Then Dominic Hasek. And then Corey Schneider.
Is this career?
This is for one season.
One season. Okay.
One season.
Wow.
So, and then what makes this more impressive to me for Shesterkin is the fact that the Rangers are really an average defensive team. They are 18th in the league in shots per 60, and they're also 18th in expected goals against per 60. But they are 4th. They allow the 4th least goals against per 60 because of Shesterkin. So that's pretty special too.
Well, holy Shesterkin.
Holy Shesterkin.
Well, the annoying thing about him, I mean, hats off to him. He's having an incredible year. Well, 2 things about him. One is the Flames have his number. If you look at his goals against, I think Calgary, for whatever reason, has been able to score on him. I think he's given up I saw some crazy stuff. Yeah, this season, I think 15% of all his goals or something, or 10% of all his goals he's given up were against the 2 games against the Flames when I think they got 6 and 5 or something. It's kind of funny. But the annoying thing is he's having such a good year that it's kind of people are forgetting about Markstrom's year, because if this was any other year, Markstrom would probably be the front runner for the Vezina. But you just can't give it to him with Shesterkin having that crazy year.
Exactly. So. Yeah. No, agree. There's some great seasons happening.
And let's not forget about. Are
you going to talk about Mikko Koskinen right now?
He had a .57 save percentage on Saturday.
Brought his average down.
Yeah.
And he was slowly working it back up to something that was really respectable. And it was like watching the Arizona before. It's and your starting goaltenders, and you're like, oh God, a month ago you were here, Mikko. You were 899. You brought it all the way back up to like 9-12, 9-10, and now we're starting back over.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Baron was right how Adam brings everything back to the Oilers.
Right.
All right. Next, I want to talk about a couple of defensemen. So in the history of the NHL, there's only been 5 defensemen who've ever scored 100 or more points in a season.
Al
And
McInnes.
I don't have that list in front of me.
Al McInnes.
Bobby Orr would be on there, I'm sure, too. Brian
Never heard of
Leach.
him.
Brian Leach was another I know for sure.
Paul Coffey?
Coffee.
Paul Coffey, of course.
Ray Bork.
Maybe it was Bork. I can't remember who it was. I didn't write these ones down for some reason.
Pilon.
I'm sorry,
He's
I'm
not
failing
like him
you.
to
I'm
be so
failing you.
unprepared.
I'm failing
Normally he'd
you.
have like Ray Bork's, Corsi in 1996. Was,
Well, I am sick, so at this
oh,
point,
here
I
come the
put any of this stuff
excuses.
together.
Okay.
Anyways, we might be adding one more to that list. Roman Josi is on
Yes.
pace for 101 points right now.
Whew.
At 81 currently, tied for 8th in the
entire league.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And the last time we had a defenseman score over 100 points, 1992, Brian Leach.
Oh,
So I have a little bit there for you.
the Leacher.
And then his campaign's not the only one that's been very rare by defensemen. Let's talk about Cale Makar.
Yeah.
At one point this season, he was on pace for close to 40 goals, which has only been accomplished by 2 defensemen.
Bobby Orr and Paul Coffey.
Yep.
God damn it. I'm on point tonight and I'm tired. I'm tired. Look at this right there.
There you
It's
go.
Signed by the man. Right
Oh,
there.
Right there.
right there.
No,
Look
Oilers really have been spoiled by some of the players they get. It's
Oh,
It's so
God.
annoying as a
You know
play-
what? Good drafting. Is like
in
a
the
thing,
in the
right?
WHA and then
Yeah.
and then like 5 first-round draft picks. All right. Anyways, back to Makar. So his goal scoring's down. He's not on pace for 40 anymore, but he's still on pace to score 30. Which only 8 other defensemen have accomplished before. I don't have those names, so don't ask me. But the last time was Mike Green, which was 13 years ago.
Greener.
So it's been a long time since we've seen a defenseman score 30 goals, and we might see that happen this year. So we have one defenseman on pace for over 100 points, another one to score 30 goals. And the best part of it all is they're both on my fantasy team.
So, Adam, would you get a Edmonton Oilers legend Mike Green jersey?
No, but I was going to say, Pilon, way to bring it back to the Oilers.
I forgot he played for the Oilers.
Yeah.
Did he actually ever
got
play?
injured.
Did he?
He
Yeah,
got
he
injured
didn't even play
so
again, right?
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He played a couple games. He actually looked pretty good. For like the Mike Smith or the Mike Green you thought you were getting. You're like, I don't know. It's late in his career. He's really on the downswing.
Yeah.
And then he got injured and
Before the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Or did they even make the playoffs that year?
They made the
No,
playoff.
They did.
that was COVID, right?
Yeah.
That was when COVID first
Oh,
hit.
that's right. That's right.
and
Because I
then he said
remember
not to
all
come back.
sitting
He
in
opted
the
out.
backyard around the fire pit talking about that trade. That's right.
Yeah.
And then the other one I want to talk about is Alex Ovechkin. So it's not like a historical season per se in the stats he's pulling in, but we're getting to watch history in his chase down Wayne Gretzky's career best of career best of goals in a season. And we got to see him pass Yager for 3rd time on the all-time goal list this season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all in all, boys, like, I mean, a lot of times you kind of get really caught up in your own team in the race for the playoffs and how your own players are doing and stuff. And it's not until like years later that you actually kind of sit back and realize like, wow, like I kind of wish I appreciated what was happening at that time. So I just thought I'd point these fantastic performances out to you and kind of make you realize that we should be pretty grateful that we're getting to see such great hockey right now.
Yeah, that's excellent. I will bring this back to the Flames because they're doing a pretty good season themselves. And Johnny Gaudreau is on pace for over 100 points and to finish over plus 50. Now, I can't remember when the stat goes back. I think it might be since 1990. But the only two
because Bobby Orr's plus minus are all.
No, sorry. Like, but the only, I think since 1990, like the only 2 other players to accomplish that, which was 100 points and over plus 50, were Lemieux and Forsberg. So I mean that's rare company.
There you go.
Well.
Thank you, Sanjay,
you know,
for adding to the list.
Yeah, adding to the
actually,
impressive stats. And
I've got that in front of me too. Gaudreau and Lindholm are both tied at plus 49.
oh, that's crazy.
How many points does Lindholm have?
He's like 60. He's in the 60s or 70s. Like he's having like 30 goals.
Let me check it out.
He's 36 goals, I think. I
He's
mean, I have the game on
21st. He's
PBR
got
today.
68 points.
68. But he's closing it. Like he may not hit 50. It would be a huge stretch for him to hit 50. But if he did, he would become only the second Swede to do it, behind another Calgary Flame, number 12, Håkan Lube, the Lubester.
That's not who I was expecting.
No, it's a trivia question. If you're ever on trivia night, you'd always stump people. Who's the only Swede to score 50 goals? Calgary Flame legend Håkan Lube. Beauty.
And
Really, hey?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
34 goals,
34 girlfriends.
See, the problem was like a lot of like the great Swedes played in the dead puck era.
Yeah.
When you think of like Sundin and Alfredson and Forsberg and like the Sedin twins,
Yeah.
they were all
Yeah.
playing during the
right.
like
And we're in the dead ref era.
Well, I mean, Sundin and Forsberg played like 96, and Sundin played like in the
96.
early 90s.
96 was dead puck. It was like
Oh.
early 90s were higher scoring.
Yeah.
It was after
96, like-
that lockout. Then also New Jersey Devils established the trap,
Yeah.
and then just
Yeah.
really died. And the
But
lockout
you
was
look
what,
at 96,
95,
like-
right?
Like
95 was,
Sakic had like 120 points that year and like 50 goals. So I mean, it's
well, yeah, you still get like some players in the hundreds, but it just wasn't the same, right? Like it used to be, you would have like, I don't know, 20 players get 100 points or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it just
No.
started being like a rarity to get 100 points.
yeah.
I would like to bring up one other stat that we forgot about, and this one Pilon's just going to love. Best goals against average in the league, Freddie Anderson,
Ooh, Fredster.
2.05.
2.05.
He's had a good season.
That's
Had a good
not
season.
bad.
We'll see if playoff Freddie appears.
Ooh. Yeah. Sometimes goalies, in the season and go to the playoffs, they just,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, like Brian Elliott was much the same way.
Goalies are just such an abnormality. Like I was listening to a podcast and they were going over the top goalies from last season, their top, like the top save percentages of goalies last season, and like none of them are the same this season.
It's so
Not
weird.
one is even in that
Yeah.
same top 10. So it's just such a weird position.
Well, I guess we'll see if he is Freddie willing and able to play in the.
Can we mute him? Oh man. Well, we'll touch on one more topic here today, maybe another one, but I'm gonna let Pilon had a rough offseason. He lost to his rivals when they were up 3-1. Montreal came back to win, and they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they were so close. They were the last team eliminated last year. Fast forward to this year, they're the first team eliminated from the playoffs this year. So, Pilon, I'm going to give you a chance to kind of gloat because, you've been taking it for all summer, for a long time from Habs fans. You've been taking it since you were born, right? Because they've had a lot of success.
Yes.
Stanley Cups,
Mhm.
President's Trophies, Hart
Most
Trophy
successful
winner.
franchise in the history of the league.
Yeah.
Can't argue that.
But not this year.
Not this year. No, this year I get to enjoy it. And it's been very, very, very sweet. And, Habs fans, I'll be like scrolling through Leafs Twitter, and Habs fans just love jumping on anything to remind everyone it was 3-1 in that series against them last season, and how they came back. And today I responded to one Habs fan. I was like, well, you know what? There's been actually a lot of teams that have been up 3-1 in the playoff series and have lost. It's not unique. It's not actually very unique. It's happened quite a bit in the past. But you know what is unique? Going to the Stanley Cup final and then being the first ones eliminated in the next season. That is very unique. So enjoy that uniqueness. And because I don't think that's ever happened before. I can't recall that ever happening.
No.
And the thing with the Habs too is, I'll give them props on how they played in that in that playoff run. They were very dedicated, hard hitting, good checking, good defensively. Carey Price returned to form, all that.
Yeah.
But I said last year too, they were also lucky. They were lucky, and I'll say it again, because number one, if it wasn't for COVID, they wouldn't have made the playoffs the past 2 seasons. They squeaked into the playoffs last season in our division. I don't want to say it's because it was a weak Canadian division, but if they were in the Atlantic division, they would have not made the playoffs. The year before that, they wouldn't have made the playoffs either, because they expanded the playoff format.
Oh, right.
So they were a team built for the playoffs. Barron had pointed out before, and it was true. They had big, slow defensemen, but they were mean and strong. And once you can start to grab and clutch and cross check and all of that stuff in the playoffs, that's when they started to see success. So they were lucky in that sense to even make it into the playoffs. And then it felt like every round they were playing against a team who lost like one of their top players. So first John Tavares goes down. Then it was Mark Scheifele was kicked out of the series. And then didn't like Mark Stone get injured in that third round? I can't remember. I thought there was an injury against Vegas too. I could be wrong. I can't quite recall, but it felt like they also had a bit of luck there too. So, I'll give them props for their play, but also I think they were a bit lucky. I think they were playing a bit over their head. I don't think they were quite that good. And then going into this offseason, you could just tell that it was not going to be their season. That, Carey Price is injured. Shea Weber's injured. They lose. Is it Deneau? Yeah, they lost Deneau and a whole bunch of other key players to their cup run. You just knew it was going to be an ugly season. And it truly was ugly, and I am quite enjoying it.
Well, fans in Quebec and fans of Montreal Canadiens, you can please write your comments below and address Mr. Ryan Maple Leafs Pilon, and just say that, I have a Montreal jersey in the closet. I'm super thankful that we got Tyler Toffoli, so please leave me out of it. I am unbiased in here, and Adam as well is unbiased as well. Montreal's never done Edmonton any done them dirty anytime. So, we're just going to sit this one out. So any comments coming in east of Ontario, please direct them to Mr. Pilon himself. Well, boys,
go for it. First team ever to be eliminated. Congratulations.
I love the rivalries. The one thing is with the Canadian division, the rivalries were really like intense. And this year, we could see Calgary and Edmonton again in the playoffs. That's a possibility. We could see Toronto, Boston again. Yeah, the rivalries are like what makes it. And in my opinion, I think this is going to go a little bit off tangent, but you mentioned, appreciating these good seasons. And sometimes we only focus on our team. And I really think the NHL needs to do something in order to make you want to watch like other teams as opposed to just your team. Like when I watch the NFL, I'm a huge Titans fan, but I watch like the Colts or the Texans because like I'm seeing like where they're going to jockey for position in the standings. And the other day I watched like Vegas and Chicago just to see if Vegas is going to make it. But like 99% of the hockey games I watch are Flames games. And I assume like, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I assume like most of the games you guys watch are Oilers and Leafs games. Yeah. So the NHL really needs to do a better way to like get, like the other day, the Flames and Oilers game was intense, right? But like if you're in Boston, if you're in Montreal, you're probably not watching that game. So the NHL needs to find a way. This is my soapbox. They need to find a way to like broaden like the appeal of the game and make like the game itself like much must-watch TV, much like the NFL, like the Monday Night Football game. Everyone watches it, even if your team's not playing. Thursday night, everyone watches it. And they really got to find a way to do that with hockey. And I think that it would really like take off because that game, like it's such a great product on the ice and people are having great seasons, but people are kind of just watching their own silos, right? So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that, but in my opinion, if they could find a way to crack that code and get sort of like these games that are must watch on the network. Cause like, if you're an American and you're like living in Ohio and you're only watching the Blue Jackets, and no shade to the Blue Jackets, but then like you're missing like so many like that Flames and Oilers game. If that was like the Monday night football game of the week, everyone in the whole hockey universe would have been like talking about it, but it's kind of like, oh, it was on late, 10 o'clock on the East Coast, so no one was really staying up to watch it. So I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that. Or
I just watched the Canadian series. Like any Canadian team that's in, I'll tune in. But once they're out, I have a really difficult
in the playoffs. You mean?
Yeah, in the playoffs, I have a really difficult time watching if Canadian teams are all out. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like home's gone.
Yeah, I think what the league needs to do is start to build storylines or promote storylines, and they need to start promoting their superstars more, because I think back to, it was last year, right? That Washington Rangers game, that second round of after the mayhem that happened.
Oh,
and then,
great. Yeah.
And then like the puck drop, and all of a sudden, like everyone fought right off the bat. Like tons of people tuned into that game. And I could care less about Washington and New York, but I wanted to see the mayhem.
Right.
So you need to find a hook. You need to find a reason. And if you can find a storyline like revenge or whatever the case might be, promote it. Promote the shit out of that storyline. Focus on the storyline, because no one cares about the game. If they don't have any stakes in the game, they don't care. So you got to find a storyline to make it entertaining, because you're trying to sell entertainment. And then if there's no storyline, the other thing the NHL does a terrible job at is promoting its superstars. And I know, in the NBA, like NBA is so good at promoting their superstars. And if there is a game where it's LeBron James versus Steph Curry or something like that, like I could care less about those teams. I'm a Raptors fan, but when it's two of the biggest names in that sport today going head to head, I'm interested.
Yeah.
And the NBA will promote it I'll see it all over social media about you need to tune in to see the two greats go head to head here. Right. So like, that's what you need. Like, why not? Battle of Alberta. I mean, you could, easily promote that like internally within Alberta, but no one else cares about Battle of Alberta.
Right.
But if you're promoting like Johnny Gaudreau and Connor McDavid, two of the top point getters this season, who can come out on top, and you've been promoting them as like two of the top superstars in the league for a while, well, then people actually care and they want to see who's actually better, who's better. Right. Yeah. So or who's going to come out at least on top in this game. Or if it was like, I don't know, I'd play like a shutdown player like Deneau, like for LA, and LA is going to go up against Edmonton. Can Deneau, like the top shutdown guy in the league, shut down Connor McDavid? Will he be able to do it? Well, now it makes me a little more.
Don't know if he can.
It just makes you a little more interested, right? So they just got to find ways to get a hook in there and make you care other than just the score. Because
as long as it's a Batman league, though,
it'll never happen. No. But
no, they got to sell the sizzle, not the steak. Like
exactly.
I keep going back to the NFL because it's the most successful thing. But every Sunday they have 2-hour pregame show and they promote it throughout the whole week, like these games. Yeah. In the NHL, you don't get anything close to that. Where it's like, that Battle of Alberta, there should have been like, pre-games on like Friday, and it should have been like on Sports Talk, like on TSN and like Sportsnet, like promoting this like game, like just talking about it up until this game, building it up like it's must-watch TV. You gotta watch it. Yeah. But there's nothing like that. It's like you watch it and then after you're like, that was a crazy, they're like, that was a crazy game. But there was nothing beforehand. So they really gotta I agree, promote the stars. They gotta do a better job of like promoting, like, building up hype behind these games, because
I think the thing that NFL has on the NHL is the fact that there's so many less games, and not played every day either. So you have time to actually build up the hype for a game. Whereas like every day, like you can't every day promote each game as must-watch TV for 82 games for every single team. Like it's just too much hockey. So that makes it tough.
Canada though,
like every week. Every Saturday, know what it's on. And
exactly. Like find like, 1 or 2 games a week that you really want to get behind. Like where, what game can we get people interested in and promote the shit out of it for a week. And then you actually get to watch it.
Well, the problem with that is like CBC owns the rights to Hockey Night in Canada. So TSN has no incentive to be like, you got to tune in to watch the Flames and Oilers, right? Whereas in the NFL, like Fox will promote the games that are on Fox. Like TSN, now that they don't have hockey, they still promote hockey, but they're not like
in Ottawa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess like they promote like the Senators games or something like that. Yeah. Well, interesting conversation. And I thank you for joining us today. Next weekend will Baron be back? Who knows? Will Sanjay be back? Who knows? We've kind of had a rotating thing.
We have not had a full cast in so long. It's been insane.
I don't even think we know how to do it. If we had all four of us, we would just flounder. We'd tripping over each other. We wouldn't be able to talk. It would be awful. But
a while ago, Sanjay had this great idea of all of us drafting Canadian players since the 1990s.
That's right.
For our own teams. And so we did this. Like, how long ago was that, Sanjay? It feels like
that must have been like a month
already.
or 2 months ago now. It seems like.
And we still haven't been able to do that segment because none of us have been together. So
when I drafted Ziggy Palffy and everyone was like,
yeah,
seriously?
That was the next one. Yeah. And then we did the reverse. The
players
from outside of Canada.
Yeah. So we'll see if we ever get those segments done.
That'd be sweet. Yeah.
Tune in to see if we find out, next week, same bat time, same bat channel, if we're going to ever have all four of us on. But for Delayed Offside, I'm Sanjay.
Subscribe. I'm Adam. Subscribe.
I'm Ryan.
And this has been Delayed Offside.
Delayed Offside.